Far away, but it's good.
Great. Can you go ahead and thank you again for working with me? I was having so much trouble on TikTok, but can you go ahead and tell me a little bit about your past leading up into your present?
Yeah, I'm 54 years old, and my past, I had a very sad trauma happened. The love of my life, I was 21, and I had to deal with his suicide. So
Sorry to hear that.
it was awful, but some out of bad things I've taken now that happening has is a passion of mine now to help others, mental health advocate. So I tell my story hoping that I can help others, and in my past I was very fortunate that at 40 I depression. I was clinically depressed, and I had a little girl, so that changed my whole world, and I had the strength to reach out for help. So I was blessed by being able to do. I was diagnosed with post traumatic stress recovery, post traumatic stress disorder, and I was very fortunate to go to Guelph, Ontario, to a program that's called post traumatic stress recovery. And in there, I learned so much. So I don't want to keep all that information to myself. So I really try to help others, and I feel talking is healing. And, you know, when you're talking about your hardships, hopefully I can bring hope to, even one person. Me telling my story is worth it.
Well said. Take me on a journey when you found out that your spouse or significant other had committed suicide. Take me on that story path.
That was, I'm just trying to get my thoughts together. I didn't realize there was a depression in the background. And people who are depressed get really good at uh, faking they're okay.
I
Like,
agree.
if that's the right word.
Yes.
So we were together, I had no idea. Um, and no idea. So I went away, I was out of the house, and we had a little bit of an argument, which I don't know. So I went away, and when I came back, I had no warning signs, nothing. So when I came back to the house, the ambulance and police were there, and of course, there was a total shock, and I ended up in the hospital. And so,
Is that where you ended up clinically depressed when you found out that your significant other has passed or expired?
no, it was the start of it, and then I just kept continuing on being okay or faking I was okay. And then there's a few other things like in my past that my um, narcissists, I dealt with a lot of narcissists. I didn't even know what that word meant. So
Can you
over,
define it? Can you define what narcissists mean in your world for the people that are watching?
yeah, it's somebody that's very, I'm trying to think, is very selfish, and the whole world revolves around them, and they're very mean, and they very manipulative. Like, you don't recognize it until I got the help. I didn't know how to. So it's somebody that's very controlling and manipulative, and all like make you think that you can be a sanest person in the world, but they'll make you question yourself, and that you're insane, like, so I've had that since childhood. So it was the childhood, and then it was the suicide, and I kind of shut down for 18 years. I shut down. It's sad to say, but I could feel happy, I could feel sad, but I was mechanical. So when I actually got into the program, they taught me how to feel again. Like, that's crazy. Like, when you go in, and I actually had a piece of paper with faces on it. The disappointment. I had to learn how to, the tools to not believe all of the stuff that has been said to me my whole life. That tape, that plays in your head, and you're not good enough, and you're never going to amount to anything. So in this program, it's phenomenal. So they taught me how to feel again, because I didn't really know how to feel or deal with feelings. So at 40, it was 2011, I went in. It's in hospital. I call it a course, but it is hospital. I went in for 2 months, and they just taught me um, all of the trauma, how to deal with it and heal it. Right? It's because I don't know. I really feel bad. There's so many people out there that's so wounded and they don't even realize it. So just a little bit of help. Like, there's so much help out there when you're strong enough to reach out for it. And I was blessed. Like, I got so much information, and I got so much help to heal and learn how to stop that tape in your head from what others are saying, and the guilt after the suicide. Lot of guilt, but it wasn't mine to carry. They taught me that this would have happened regardless. Like, when people, but that's pain. That was his pain, and it was just unfortunate. So um I don't blame him. I blame society's box. Like, men, when they're growing up, men have to be tough, suck it up. You can't, but it's okay to be not be okay. So I really, that's what I've come to learn. I don't blame the people. I blame the judgment and how easy it is for people to knock each other down, like, and you don't know what goes on in people's backgrounds. Everybody has a story, right?
It's
So
beyond a disease the way society is brought up to either pick on somebody that is different, um, pick on a gay or a bisexual person, pick on anybody, racial or not. It's always, we always have been raised. It's embedded in our DNA now,
it
and
is.
all we have to do is take, like, re how can I say this? We need to actually undo what we've learned both physically and what we've been taught since childhood. And what is your thoughts on that, Kelly?
I agree. Through a lot of stuff that I've done, I've learned, like, we learn what we live. Do you know what I mean? So because for me to heal, I had to actually go back to my childhood and dissect it. What did I take from my mother, and what did I take from my father? And is it actually my beliefs? Some is, some isn't. So I really had to, and I find there's people don't recognize. I've been very fortunate to recognize it, but it's cycles. So, like, um, my mom's mom, my grandmother treated my mother a certain way, and then she repeats that cycle and treats me a certain way. And by dissecting all that, I learned to break that cycle. So I was very fortunate, because I could have carried And this is where I'm talking about the narcissist, the narcissistic, right? So I was very fortunate to recognize it, catch it, and change it. So now me and my daughter have the most amazing. It took work, and like it's funny because I don't know if this is right in saying this, but what if there's something in your parents that you don't like, you pretty much have the same thing. If
Yeah.
that makes sense. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's a lot of cycles. I don't think it's bad people or it's just, that's what they've learned. But you can't change what you don't recognize. So I would love to get out, like you have to recognize that you probably got this from your dad, but that doesn't mean you have to feel that way. Like there's no, I don't know, I find the world is very wounded and no compassion and very judgmental. How we fix it, I'm not really sure, but I'm definitely going to try one person at a time. Like that's my passion in life now is to try to get people to open their eyes a little bit more. And you know we need to help each other. There's enough hate out there as is, and I don't have a mean bone in my body, so I don't understand it. Like, and any, so I'm kind of in a search now to, how can we get this out there and make people think and recognize stuff to change it for the better, and if I can do it one person at a time, I'm definitely going to try.
Well said. It's three ways that society thinks. It's the way the book's supposed to go, which is you don't supposed to be mean to people. You're supposed to be nice to your elders, and you're supposed to treat people with dignity and respect. Does that happen? No.
No.
Instead, we have freedom of speech, which is not a bad thing. Freedom of speech is a good thing, but it tips the scales when we're thinking about different ways where you know um, freedom of speech can go leftwards in a way where we're bashing somebody because of how they look or dress,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then there's the way where the military has us, you have to eat a certain way, you have to do certain things certain ways, you have military time. So it's three ways of thinking, like I said, the first way is the way we supposed to be, the way we are, and then the way the military is set up for us. So I feel like, like you said, piggyback off of what you said, we must like rewind and unravel what we're doing, and tell me, because you're the only person I've met that has sat up there and has done I really want to hit this subject up a little bit longer, but I'll come back to it. So tell me about your mining, and tell me about
Oh.
the cat in the truck that you used to mine.
Yeah, I very stubborn girl. I don't, you know, if you I always say if we were raised big morals, big values, respect, and so as a young girl, I bartended and waitressed actually for 15 years. So loved it. I love people, obviously, but I got tired, the late nights, and so I got it in my head that I was going in mining because here in my hometown, it's an iron ore mine and it's a very good paying job, stable. So I usually in mining there's contract workers, that work in the mine. So this is a funny story. I actually uh went over Monday to Friday and kept pick, like, saying, are you going to hire me? You're going to hire me. So I got hired. And I started in a weigh scale shack weighing in asphalt trucks. And then, I worked my way up. So I got to drive a 785 haulage truck. So it's a smaller haulage truck. And I knew this was it. This is my chance. So I got every license I could get. And then I ended up on getting on 830 haulage truck, which is 450-ton truck in the mine here in my hometown, and loved it. So, and it's a great job, great security, medical, dental. And then I went through a divorce in my hometown, and in a small town, it's really tough to deal with sometimes. So I was like, uh, okay, I'm going to send my resume. I call it signs of the universe. If it's easy, it's meant to be. If it's not, then you got to think something else, right? So I put my resume out. I had a job anyways, so it wasn't a big deal. If I didn't get it, lo and behold, I went up for the interview, and this was in the oil sands up in Alberta. So I got the job, and now I drive one of the biggest haulage trucks in the world. So, and I have grader and rubber tire dozer, and so I love. So I'm a heavy equipment operator in mining, right?
Do
So,
you
but I
need
love
like
it.
do those trucks go in caves, or can you tell me the day of Kelly McLean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you so they're big trucks, and you walk up and get in your cab, and the way it works is you have shovels in areas, and then you have um crushers, they call it. So if I have iron ore on, I would bring it, drive it to the crusher. So you're driving around the mine, right? And then if I have waste on, there's dump areas. So you would bring it to the dump area. But everything in mining is big scale. Like the trucks are big, but the shovels are big, the equipment is big, So I was blessed to go that path in my career. And I love it. Like I love it because I love getting the showing the big haulage truck, and somebody is saying, "You drive that?" I still love it. It doesn't get old, right? So, yeah. So I'm blessed, and I've been 8 years, 17 years in mining now. So another few, and hoping to retire, and then I want to really uh, be a mental health advocate. Like I'm trying to, wherever I can get in there, to help people and tell my story.
And tell me, before we move on from that, what type of because you drive the biggest truck in the world. How, like, do you need? Did I ask you? Did you need a special clearance for it?
Nope, just driver's license, pretty
Wow.
much. Yeah, and the drive. So, like I said, I got on with the mine here. Sorry, in Labrador City, the iron ore mine, and they actually train you. But it does help to have background experience, like either on equipment or smaller haulage trucks, which is what I started out on. These little ones were 150 tons. So that was my basis. And then I applied, and then I got on, and I spent 8 years in my hometown in the mining. And then I learned like the grader, but I love it. Like I love it.
What are
So it
the
was good.
pros and cons? What are the pros and cons of being on that truck?
Uh um well, for me it's been all pros, but for some people the cons would be maybe a little bit boring, like cuz it's constant, and you're driving the same area all the time. And you do have to be well rested and alert, for sure. Like you don't want to be tired, or but we're lucky that way. Like you got to make sure that you get your rest. And it's not it's shift work, so you do days and nights. The nights are tough, but it's like anything, you get used to it, right? But yeah, but not everybody, loves driving as such. So some people would get bored, or probably doesn't like it, but it was perfect for me. It was because you can, listen to music, and you just have to make sure you're alert and well rested when you are driving the heavy equipment.
So y'all basically go to a oil based site, or is it already there the trucks, and you
Yeah,
go from sector to sector drilling for oil? How does that work?
no, for the oil sands, it's a camp based job. So I, uh, I like you fly. So there's two hubs: is Calgary, Alberta, and Edmonton, Alberta. So we have our own plane. We go to the airport and we get on a plane, and we actually fly into a camp setting. So
Get out of here! Every day
honest,
for work?
yeah, and then you fly into this camp setting. So everybody has their little room, and we have uh about your buffet, your eating area, and then we all congregate in this building, and then we drive out to the mine, and then we board whatever piece of equipment you're driving, either the trucks or. And it's funny now, the trucks up in the oil sands I work at is no more drivers. It's all autonomous. It's all computers.
Well, what do the computers do?
They drive the trucks. There's no physical people sitting in the seat anymore. It's
Wow.
pretty amazing, but still, we'll still drive the trucks if they get stuck, or I don't know, something happens, their oil's low, or so then we'll physically get up on these trucks and man them, and then fix whatever the problem is, and then they'll go back to autonomous. It's pretty interesting. I miss driving the trucks, but it's the way of the world now, right?
Yeah, does that cut down costs of people working? You know,
We're really fortunate in the mine that I'm in. They have not laid off people in years and years and years. So all it has done now is just puts us in a different job. You know what I mean? I'm not driving a truck per se, but now there's jobs called recovery. So you're the person, if there's something happening with one of these autonomous trucks, now you drive around in a pickup and you would go recover it. So it just makes the jobs different. You know what I mean? There's nobody's been like laid off as such. So now just your job is different. And then another job in the mine, now that it's all computer trucks, is there's people need to come in and out, like to service a shovel, or so it's called escorting. So we have a computer screen or whatever, and we put them in the middle of two trucks and we escort them to their area. So it's just, yeah, it's just different jobs. You know what I mean? Instead of driving the truck itself always like we used to. It's pretty cool. It is pretty cool.
who manned the artificial intelligence for the actual computerized trucks?
That would be a dispatch. So there's an actual building of dispatch that man them and send them where they need to go, and right. So there's a crew themselves actually in a building that'll send them where they need to be, and yeah,
Have,
it's different.
to go backwards, have you ever suffered from like? I just want to hear you say it if you don't, if you didn't do it, then it's cool. But did you ever suffer from drug abuse?
Um, yeah, maybe, but it would
The
not.
only reason I'm asking is how did you recover being in a job you love to be in? That's why. No,
Oh
I
yeah, no,
don't
I
want to hear no
wasn't.
more.
I yeah, I recovered. Um, I think when I shut down and became mechanical, like one of my big ethics is work and being there to work. So I think shutting down, but it's sad because you lose so many years. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I did drink and I dabbled in marijuana, but I wouldn't say addiction as such. Like just regular, and yeah, maybe, but not at work. Like, because of course you're driving heavy equipment, you can't be impaired any way or form, right? So
Yeah.
for me, it was being able to shut down. I would just shut down and super focus on my job. But saying that, everybody else suffered, because I just became mechanical and I missed out on a lot of things. You work, sleep, eat, repeat. Like I was just able to become a computer myself to get through it, if that makes sense.
And tell me, like, when when you first realized that, like, how did your family cope with it?
Uh, with
Like, did they support you on your journey to writing cats? And then we're going to talk about moving on to what you want to write in your book. How did
uh,
they support you and give you uplifting instead of, anything negative?
yeah, uh, my daughter was very, very supportive. That's kind of my family. Then we're not close knit, so there wasn't a lot of support family wise, but there was a lot of support for me in my community. Like people telling their stories, right? But my daughter was my biggest supporter, and was, wanted me to get the help and do stuff. The other way, like that's where that stigma of society comes in, like, ah, you don't want to do that, you can't do that. And but yeah, I had some close knit mentors that really helped me, and my daughter was my biggest push to get right. And right, family not so much. There's a lot of, I don't know, how carrying
Stigma.
up stigma. Yeah, the family not so much. But I was so stubborn. I was just so stubborn, and that's what kept me on the trail. And I want it better for my girl, for my daughter. So that's what just give me that drive to push, 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 right? And it took to when the depression kicked in at 40, um, I couldn't get out of bed, and my little girl was down the foot of the bed, and I don't know, something hit me, like she was down at the foot of the bed because I used to alarm the clock and I would get up to give her bath and her meals. And so this day, and I would sleep right up till it was time for her to come home after school. And this one time I slept in and she was down the foot of my bed and she was like, Mommy, I'm really worried about you. And whatever happened in that moment, I want it better. And it didn't matter what anybody said or anybody thought. I want it better for this little girl and myself. And then I reached out. Like I reached out for help. I went up to the hospital and got on antidepressants and started my journey of mental health and counselors, and because I wanted something different. I want it better for my little girl. So that was my saving grace, we'll say, to keep me going.
How did you because you were you became a counselor. Tell me a little bit about that, or about that. You don't have to, it don't have to be a little bit. Just tell me about it.
Yeah, not a counselor as such, but I was. It's really funny because um, with the narcissism, and so every time I went to a female counselor, I would shut down. It wasn't working, right? And this
Right.
lady who's amazing, she said to me, who was a mental health worker, she said to me, she said, Kelly, why are you coming to me? And I'm like, well, to get help. And she said, yeah, but you don't talk to me like there's something not right. Like, don't be afraid to tell me that it's not working between us, because, you know, I want you to get the help. So then she talked me into going to a male counselor. So lo and behold, went to a male counselor, and I felt comfortable, and I started to open up because you have to talk.
Yeah.
Talking is healing, and so that was my start. So here in Labrador, they have social workers, they call them, and they do the best they can with what they have, right?
Yeah.
So that was the start of my journey, and then I got diagnosed with post traumatic stress disorder, because and that's another thing, trauma's trauma. You don't have to be military, you don't, trauma affects people, and right, like, I
Okay.
get it, I understand it, but PTSD just isn't for military. It's for the average person who's been through a lot of trauma too. So then I actually had to go to Newfoundland to do an addiction program. Not that I was addicted, but it was to say that this Newfoundland based program didn't work for me to be eligible to go to Ontario. But I learned a lot. Like, with the counselors and psychologists there, it was beneficial, even though it was an addiction center. So then I got the blessing and got accepted to Homewood in Guelph, Ontario. It's post traumatic stress recovery. It was phenomenal. So when we went there, we did have our military, and they would go in their groups, and then the normal average Joe with trauma, depending on your trauma, would have our groups, and these were psychologists. Like, they saved my life. Like, I don't even know how to, it was one of the hardest things I have ever done in my life, but one of the rewarding. It gave me back my life, and now, I'm happy and I'm healthy, and it took a lot of work, but I'm here.
Well said. And tell me, like, where do you see yourself? You can bring anything that you want up going in the future beyond just the book you want to write.
I just want to, like, my hardships now have become a passion, and I just want to help others, like, there's no amount of, I did a support group. I had a support group, and I started out with, well, my first day there was two of us. I was like, eh, but over the year I ended up with eight. So uh one person came in, and they were broken. I know broken, you know, and they were broken. So they kept coming, and we got them, some support and some help. And a year later, to see this broken person happy and healthy, there's nobody could give me any amount of money for that experience. So that's where I want to go. I want to help people. I want to. There's hope, and help people with their wounds so that they can be happy and healthy, and try to soften the stigma. It's so easy to judge. There's a saying I learned, and I love it, and it says, those who understand, those who don't understand judge, those who understand don't judge. So that's my purpose. Like, I've been very fortunate to have a great job, great money, but that's not my purpose. My purpose is, I just want to help others and try to soften that stigma, make people a little bit more compassionate. I know it's in them. They just don't recognize where that judgment and that stigma's coming from. Maybe educate a little bit more.
How does Kelly in the future, how will Kelly in the future cope with her mental health? Because it's a forever battle. It's a long-term battle.
It
I
is.
have it, a lot of other people have it. So what is your plan for coping in case you have a slip up? Because we all do.
I have tools. So in this program, there's tools that we learn. So uh I really, because I hated meditation. Like, but it's not what people think it is. Like, so they taught us like this. For me, meditation is like, but it's so not. It's we were taught that when I wake up in the morning, I check in with my feelings. Like, am I sad? Am I happy? Am I upset? Like, so I check in with me, and that will uh make how my day goes, right? So I work on me, and so I always check in with me. If I'm sad, then I'm going to go where I love animals, so I'm going to find something that's going to take me into animals, or something more positive, like. And I do that now. It became you do it so often in this program, it becomes natural. If I'm happy, then I'm going to go try to make other people happy, or go find people that are happy, and because your surroundings makes a huge difference. So media, you like you let all that negative toxic in. I've learned um to not like, I always check in with me, and I do what I need to do to stay healthy and happy. I don't always get it right, but like, the more you use these tools, the better you get at it. And I won't let anybody bring me down. I'll walk away, or I will change my environment, So, yeah, because I've been there. I've been broken. I've been down, and I've done so much work. I won't allow it anymore. So, it's things that you like. And another tool we used is, things that you love. You put it on a Bristol board, pictures. There's times that I can feel that I'm slipping a little bit. I'll take up my Bristol board, and I'll put pictures up, like, of animals, and where I see myself in the future, like mental health advocate and that kind of things. Like, it seems trivial, but it's so important, right? So I stay on top of it. I don't let I check in with me in the mornings, and I do what I need to do to stay healthy and happy.
In Canada, what's the best medications or herbal supplements and or like things you take to help keep you healthy and mentally aware and healthy?
Um I I have a good one for it's funny because I just got off my antidepressant medication after 11 years. So
Congratulations. Yes.
you betcha. It's awesome. So, but this is a story I want to get out there. So I had a psychiatrist do meds, right?
Mhm.
And and like people, it's not for everybody, and it doesn't have to be a full-time thing. But sometimes, at the time, this because after the suicide, I had to, like, for the depression, right? And I'll never forget it. My psychiatrist said, he said, "Oh, you people make me so mad," and I was like, "Excuse me," right? And he's like, "If I told you you had a heart condition, you would take a pill, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." He said, "Okay, if I told you you had diabetes and you had to take this medication, you would take it." And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "So I am mad." Like, he got mad, but he made me think, right? So he said, "I am telling you right now, your you have a chemical imbalance in your brain and you need to take this medication." He said, "So if you want to listen to everybody else and stay miserable, then go ahead." And I was like, okay. So when I walked away, I thought about it and I'm like, oh my God, he's so right. So I took it. So for me, it was Effexor. Uh,
Sure. Great medication.
and I was on 300 milligrams for a very long time.
Okay.
And as I healed and got better, I came down to 150, and I was just I'm in a really good place. So I was like, I'm going to try to give them up. So I went to my doctor and did it the right way, and I'm off them, and I feel fantastic. So they did what they needed to do at the time. So, like, because I get really upset when people are like, "Oh, you know, you shouldn't be taking this and that." But yeah, sometimes, and I've even done research because in my work, we on the haulage trucks we have a pink dump body. It's called, like, the back of the truck, the box, right, and a blue. So when it came to my first job, one was breast cancer and the other one was prostate cancer. So it came to the oil sands that I work at, and one was mental health. So that became my baby, you know. So I did my speech, and yeah, so I was really fortunate to do a speech on mental health and get to drive this truck, the first drive ever out in the mines. So we got to cut the ribbon, and yeah, like, but you do what's best for you. And there is tools. There's lots of tools out there, and use them the same as like you brush your teeth every day, right? So, and the more you do it, the easier it gets. So I just I know when I wake up in the morning, if I'm happy, that's great. I try to go find others and make them happy, and but if I'm sad, then okay, maybe I need to do something different today. I need to go for a walk in the nature, cuz nature and animals are my pick me up. And if I'm so, and I will. It doesn't matter what people want me to do today or have planned for me today. If I'm feeling down, well, sorry, but I'm going for a walk in nature, or I'm going to go find a couple dogs and hang out with them, like, yeah. So that's how I stay on top of my mental health. Because
Yeah.
without it, you have nothing.
You said some excellent things, and I well said, by the way. We have less than 9 minutes, so you know, Effexor, is it called?
Was my medication. I tried
Yeah.
a few of
So,
them, but yeah, I tried a few. It didn't work for me, so I tried a fixer, and it was good.
so basically, uh, circumstances in your environment probably played a huge role in what was going on in your environment with the medication balancing stuff and making you think straight, like it's doing me too.
Yeah, yep,
You
yep.
know, helps with seeing things in a different view, but never forgetting, what's out there, such as what we were talking
No.
about earlier.
Yeah.
But yeah, like tell me, in under 3 minutes, if you had to give a piece of advice to somebody that wanted to be in your shoes right now, Kelly, what would it be?
Uh you need to do the work. It's it's a lot of work, but it's so worth it. Um you need to reach out for help. There's so much help out there. Don't be afraid. Fear is only what's holding you back, right? So reach out for help. You're worth it. You're so worth it. And I got tired of being tired. So, take that step, ask for help and do the work. Listen, and really do the work and it will pay off tenfold. It pays off. Don't be afraid. I know I've been broken and fear and but you got to want better and you got to take that leap and you got to ask for help and when you do ask for help there is so much out there. Like you deserve it. You deserve to be happy and fulfilled. We have only got one life, you know? You've only got so much time. So reach out to me if you have to.
How can the people reach you, Kelly?
Um, I have Facebook. So, and I have email, I have all that. And
What's your
I don't,
Facebook name?
sorry,
What's your Facebook name, Kelly?
Kelly McLean. It's,
Okay.
I'm in a side by side and dirt's flying up with the biggest smile ever. So, yeah, Kelly McLean, and it's McLean. So, and there's a few different groups there, and I love having conversations with people. That's where it starts. To give you hope, or if you're struggling, or have patience with yourself and be compassionate with yourself. It's okay. Not everybody's happy all the time, right? But you deserve to not be broken and to find peace and happiness. So reach out and do the work and it'll pay off.
Thank you so much, Kelly, for joining my show. Stay
Thank
on.
you.
You take care, be safe, and I will see you guys later. Bye.
Yeah, you bet. Bye. Thank you.
Okay, we're out. Give me a second. One quick second, I promise.
No.
This is KCAA.
Open for takeout and delivery, El Tapiac Mexican food restaurant in the Tri-City Center of Redlands is back. Their entire family is on hand to serve up their delicious burritos, machaca, chorizo, huevos rancheros,